Hello, everybody, and welcome. It's Liam here from Biggerplate. I am delighted to welcome to the channel Craig from Corel, who's going to be talking with us about the latest version of MindManager. And I'm really going to tax his brain by asking him a few questions about times in the MindManager history before he even joined the company. So Craig is coming to us today live from Ottawa. So hi, Craig. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Liam. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So Craig is, correct me if I'm getting this wrong, Senior Product Marketing Manager for MindManager.
That's right. Yeah, it's a mouthful, but that's my title.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of M's in there for someone as stupid as me to get in. So that was
Senior Product Marketing Manager for MindManager, right?
Exactly, right. Exactly. At least the company's not MindJet anymore. That would have just added another layer to that for me.
Right. Yeah.
So Craig, I'm going to just dive straight in if you're happy to do that with just a little bit of a question really around what's new and what's exciting with MindManager and what you guys have badged as MindManager 21. And then, as I say, we might just get a little bit of a sense from you as someone who's relatively new to the organization and therefore probably to the product, kind of on your journey in the organization so far. And then hopefully ending with a little bit of a forward view, an idea of kind of the vision of the future from the Corel perspective, if that sounds all right with you.
That sounds great. Yeah, you bet.
Perfect. Great. So first and foremost, I guess, MindManager, new version, product suite 21, all live and exciting as of last week.
Right.
How's it gone so far?
So far, so good. We had really, really good feedback on the product, all the way from the beta testing that we did, all the way up until launch. Very successful launch. Obviously, everybody's adjusting to the whole new remote working world and so on. So we had a couple virtual online events there that went really well. Super high attendance. We've had really great pickup of the product so far. And straight from our beta testers, they just love the new features and all the work that went into the product. So, really good things to say about it.
I'm going to just pick up on one thing there, which is not exactly MindManager specific, but I attended the virtual event last week, and I thought it was phenomenal. I really did think it was a brilliant way to engage a much wider audience than you ever could have done. And I've been working with MindManager for so long. I've been to events in London when new versions would come out, and you'd have normally the same sort of people turning up, and I'm sure that's great. But I'm sure I'm really interested in. Obviously, this virtual event as a sort of launch is maybe sort of very of the time we're in right now. But I imagine if on your side as a marketing manager, you must look at this and say, this is a great model to engage a much wider group of users and kind of get them excited. Do you think this is the future of sort of product launches as such?
I think it's a really great tool and a really great platform. I'm sure at some point we'll go back to some sort of sense of normalcy where people will actually attend live events. But the ability for people to really adapt and adjust in any sort of situation is becoming very evident. And I think these tools are just fantastic. These online platforms, it's a place where people can come and connect no matter where they are in the world. I mean, we had people all the way from Japan, from South America, from Europe, from North America, all attend our virtual event. And then all of the, the content and all of the videos and everything that we have are all available on demand after the event. So it's really, really a great platform and a great place for people to come and learn something new. So I think that we're going to see a lot of that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was a brilliant event. I think also what was great is the ability to create these kind of breakout sessions where if I want to go and learn about what's new with MindManager for Mac, I'm going into this session. If I want to learn about Microsoft Teams, I'm going in this session. I think that gives you, again, a great way to cater for a very large user base with probably quite different kind of needs and interests, I guess, in terms of a product launch. It's not just here's a new product. It's there's kind of quite a lot going on in this new launch of things, isn't there?
Yeah, and we were sort of learning as we went along as well, right? So I mean, you have the rooms where the actual breakout sessions are taking place. People can chat within those chat rooms, right? And so we have staff, usually the speaker, and then maybe one or two other people in there answering questions live as the presentations are happening. But then we have also the other chat rooms. And as I said, we sort of adapted as we went, but what we found was really effective is we started holding live demos within these chat rooms. So people could ask questions, and not only could we engage with them either through chat or through voice, but we had, live demos happening on the screen. So they could ask a question like, hey, how can I see Excel data mapper? Or how can I see, new slides in presentation mode, or different things like that. And we could bring it up live on the screen. So,
so you're getting a much more diverse range of questions than you ever could in a physical event, and you're able to address all of them probably much quicker and in real time and with useful information, I guess, as well.
Yeah, well, that was exactly it, right? And it was sort of unexpected, right? I mean, it's all a learning experience, but I think it's going to be something we adopt moving forward. You're right. In a virtual space, somebody will come up to you and ask questions about the product, and you can answer them. You can have a discussion, but you don't always go for the live demo. Whereas here, it was great because let's say 40 people were in the room at once. They could all see what was happening, and then they could, that might spark some additional questions. Really effective way to demo the product, get information across, and engage with customers directly.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was great to be a participant of. So congratulations to all the team involved in that, because I thought that was a real success. I've got a post-it just to the right of my office desk here that says, this is a quote from your keynote speaker, Anthony, who said, he was talking about Gantt versus Agile, and he had this, it's a question that I get asked and I sort of struggle to answer why one might be preferable or whatever. And his quote that I scribbled down was, do you want to be precisely wrong or roughly right? And I'm going to steal that and use that all the time. I thought that was a key takeaway for me. Sadly, not about the product, but it was a pretty useful takeaway for me.
Yeah, well, that's similar to another one, is do you want to be perfect and late or good and on time, right?
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was very good. Yeah. So I'm delighted with the virtual event. I thought it was great. And as a participant, I could see the amount of engagement you get. You could see the numbers of people, lots of names I recognized, lots I didn't, and you could see the chat and engagement. So you guys must be delighted with that as part of the launch. And so if I then come to, if you like, the new product, although it seems strange to say it's a new product, because really it's a lot of things actually, and I think it's really a suite of products now that you're kind of positioning, isn't it? So you've kind of got 4 themes, if I can kind of play these back to you and see if I'm understanding right. You've got boost productivity, sort of plans, projects, and processes, that's 1, and then ignite teamwork, that's 3, and then information flood is kind of the 4th. So within those kind of 4 themes, you've created features or functions, some of which are kind of big new things, and some of which are really attention to detail, kind of little tweaks that people like me who use the product a lot will thank you for and notice, I'm sure. So maybe you could give me a sense of what you guys in the team, and maybe even from the virtual event perhaps, what's getting the most attention, and can you tell us a little bit more about sort of a new area or new feature that's kind of getting you guys excited and maybe getting your customers or potential customers excited?
Yeah, you're right. There's just a ton that went into this new release. So you are right that we're not really positioning. Traditionally when we've done a launch, we launch one product. So it could be MindManager for Mac or MindManager for Windows. But you're right. Now that we have the entire product suite, so it's the MindManager product suite, and it encompasses the entire ecosystem of products that we have. So for us, I mean, we always say it's the most significant release to date, but this is actually true. We're not looking at it just as a single product anymore. We have an entire suite of tools, visualization tools that work, across platforms, and it's tied together with something brand new as of this launch. So our account services, which is held up by a license server. So basically what this means is a user has an account and it works across the entire ecosystem of products and services. So the big story for us is it's the first time that we've ever had a release like this. We have a new product, which is MindManager for Microsoft Teams. We have major enhancements, both in terms of capabilities, but also usability tweaks that make the product more enjoyable to use for MindManager Windows 21. We had some updates to MindManager Mac 13 with the integration of the license server, and we're going to see a significant update to MindManager Mac coming in 2021. And then we have our content capture tool, MindManager Snap, that has teaming capabilities now. And all of this is tied together with our account services. So, we're trying to tie the ecosystem together. So we're really building on that story of usability and productivity, but also collaboration.
And I imagine for an organization, like Corel, but MindManager as a product has been around for I can't even think 20 plus years. That job of migrating, pulling sort of 20 plus years worth of users into sort of a new structure, a new ecosystem. I imagine technically behind the scenes, that's a big challenge, but also, how do you kind of communicate the benefits of this new ecosystem to maybe users who are used to installing a software on my computer and deciding year after year, do I want to upgrade it or not? What's that like from a marketing manager perspective as well? How's the sort of, what's the narrative you can share with people around why this benefits them as the end users?
Well, again, like you said, I mean, we've really sort of narrowed in our positioning in the market around visualization. You get a competitive edge, you can be more productive, that sort of thing, right? I mean, that's always been the case, but we've implemented a host of new tools. One is text accelerators, for instance, where the user can just use their keyboard to type in, with an @ symbol or a hashtag symbol for a tag or a resource, rather than clicking through all the menus and stuff they had to do before. We have a new modern topic info style design where the properties and the links and different information that are contained within a specific topic are laid out nice and clear, and there's more customization over that. And then it's about, dealing with synthesizing information, right? So we've continued to enhance that feature set as well. So we've rebuilt in our MindManager Windows app the Microsoft Word import, where there's no longer a dependency on having Microsoft Word. What else? I mean, we've implemented import-export features with Places or third-party storage. So now you can import and export any supported file type to and from like Google Drive or SharePoint and so on. So a lot going on with this release. One of the big things that is key is sort of building up our collaboration feature set. So, last year we rolled out co-editing, and we're going to continue to enhance that. We've got publishing and sharing features, but now we've fully revamped our slides and presentation mode as well. So you can create complete standalone files as their own slide decks within MindManager, and each slide becomes sort of its own living, breathing space, and in total a living, breathing document with its own file extension. So it's all editable and fully accessible within MindManager. And a great new feature set that really builds on the whole collaboration story. So a lot of stuff.
There's two things in there in terms of, as you said, there's a lot going on, and even as I was kind of having calls with yourself and others in advance and sort of learning about some of these, I was like, okay, there's a lot going on here. That's going to be a real challenge for you guys to kind of sort of share with everyone. But I mean, a couple of things that really leapt out at me as a heavy user of MindManager. I will always tell people I don't consider myself, or we don't consider ourselves at Biggerplate to be advanced users of MindManager. There are many more people who know every click and button in the software, but we're very heavy users. We're everyday users. And two of the features that kind of really jumped out at me, that in terms of delivering training or even just using it myself, the topic info style improvements, which again I'll try and put some screenshots on the screen now for people to kind of see a little bit of what we're talking about, because it may be hard to visualize. But the topic information that you would add to maps, whenever I would run workshops and show people the depth of information they could add to topics, I would always kind of have to give this disclaimer that you can start to get a bit overwhelmed by the amount of information on the page. So if I've got a project plan and I'm adding topic information to every single topic, suddenly I've got a lot of extra kind of visual clutter on the screen. So the changes to the topic information, how it's displayed and how I can customize it, and how really seems to be speaking to that user who's using that a lot. And really that's where I think ever since really Corel took over MindManager, I think there's been a brilliant kind of attention to detail of things that regular users will go, God, that makes life much easier. I'm imagining that is a feature that you've got some good feedback on already, because certainly it's one I really like.
Yeah, you're right about being able to sort of visualize it in your head and until you actually see it. Because even when we tried to pitch this internally, the team said, "Oh, do we really need that?" But then after everybody sees it and they use it and they get their hands on it, they just love it. So, for instance, one of the ways that you can, you get a really big complex map. You get tons of information in there. Now there's ways to hide that if you don't want to see it by default, or you can adjust those settings so it always shows, or you can click to hide that information. We also have topic info cards so that you can just see the information that you want to see, but if you need more, you can click on a different a specific topic. But those are all and then the card, when you click on it, it shows more information, right? Yeah. So maybe that's hidden information. And we've made all of those interactive, so you can drag and drop to and from the topic info cards into other topics and interact between them. So it's not just this one sort of static thing that pops up with more information. Every element within that topic info card is editable and adjustable, through drag and drop or different things.
And I think it is a really good example of that attention to detail and what, we talk about in our training and our webinars. We talk about the ability in maps to have a second layer of information. So keep the surface level of our mind maps nice and clean and clear and sort of manageable. But the depth of extra stuff you can put beneath the surface with tools like MindManager, whether that's hyperlinks, notes, or task information is really rich. But with the task info in particular, it did have that ability to maybe almost become a bit overwhelming. So to say, no, let's just make that really easy to just sneak behind the surface, that have really accessible, pop it open. I thought that was, when I saw that, I was like, that's going to be straight in my kind of sweet spot for my use cases, certainly.
Yeah, and there's always people resistant to change, right? So we still have the legacy.
Right, and I was going to say that one of the... Yeah, and I guess that one of the problems, you made me think of it when you said no one in the team at first really thought it needed doing, is I guess the previous way was definitely good enough. It really was good. It wasn't bad. It's just when you see the new version, you're like, oh, that's way better. So I guess good is the enemy of great, as they say. So I guess you had something that worked really well. So why change it? Well, actually, you've really taken it on a level, which I think is the sort of change you only start to see and envisage if you are using it regularly. If you are really using the tool in anger on a day-to-day basis, you start to go, what if I could hide this, make it a little bit more visually interactive, or these kind of things.
Right. And the one interesting thing about the change is it's significant, but it's also not disorienting. So anybody that's familiar with the product and they use MindManager 21, they won't even notice really that, because it's done in such a way that it's so logical in the way that it looks and feels, that you don't even realize that it's changed, because it's so you're not having to get used to something new. But if you compare it side by side with the old version, it's a significant change and enhancement.
So let me give you my other one of my other favorites of what you've kind of built into the new version of MindManager, which is the again, a little bit hard to describe without showing it on the screen. And I never want people to demo software during these discussions, because I think it always makes it a bit more stop-start. But I think the work that's been done on presentation slides is really great. I think one of the benefits, I've used the walkthrough mode in MindManager forever as a really great way of presenting, but not ruling out interaction. So I love, particularly for workshop delivery or anything where I want a bit of interaction, the ability to click through a walkthrough of the map, but also add to the map if I wanted to in real time, was always very powerful for me. What I love with the new functionality for sort of slides, if I can call them that, is you formulate or format your sort of slides in MindManager, but each one has that easy to add and interact in the moment. So again, somebody can present using the very sort of linear way of kind of slide after slide, but also within each one have that ability to go, tell me what you think. Do we need to collect any ideas here? And it just feels it feels like it's going to make for some very interactive presentations if people want to. So again, that must be something that's got interest among those regular users as well.
Absolutely, yeah. People say, well, why don't you just use PowerPoint? But what they don't maybe realize is each slide becomes its own canvas, right? And so, I mean, if anybody was at the loyalty event, we used our new slides in presentation mode to present, the new look and feel of MindManager. It's a super effective tool, and the thing is it's of course it's comparable to PowerPoint because you have slides, but like you said, you can take each slide and you can edit it using the MindManager feature set, features and functionality. Each one is fully editable and fully sort of alive, so to speak. So you're right. You can get in a brainstorming session with people, and you can make changes on the fly very, very easily. So so it takes the best part of PowerPoint as sort of a presentation capability with the feature set of MindManager, native to it. So it's a really powerful feature.
I think it's one of those features I see. I think if we talk this time next year, it's going to be really interesting to see what people have done with that. Because I think we're going to see new types of or it has the potential, I think, to enable a really different kind of presentation. And I think we will always tell people, if you've got a presentation, plan it in a map structure, and then if you need to, put it into PowerPoint slides, because the map structure is great for your thinking and your ideas, and then you need maybe something more palatable to present. Well, maybe that's PowerPoint, but now again, that doesn't necessarily need to be, and you can keep the kind of the mapping dynamism, I guess, and what you've created. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how your users leverage that, because I think it's really innovative as a way of kind of layering that interaction and that presentation on top of each other.
For sure, and there's also the option of tying it to specific maps or branches within a map. So whenever you make changes to the map, it will automatically update within the slide. But of course, there's the option you can disconnect that from and make it run independently, right? So there's real flexibility and customization within the feature.
Really nice. So without trying to get too far into the clicks and button features, I think some other kind of headlines that certainly you guys as a team were keen to talk about in the virtual event, and maybe you could just give viewers an idea of two of the sort of other big headlines. I think were the Snap function, sort of collaborative or kind of sharing in Teams function, and then sort of again, sort of I'm guessing aligned in that collaborative and the whole area of Microsoft Teams is obviously a big one for you guys. Microsoft sort of Office alignment has always been a real strength of MindManager from sort of day zero, that alignment with the Office suite. So I guess the work you guys have done to really give yourselves a really strong presence within Microsoft Teams, that seems like a relatively natural evolution, but I guess not an easy one. That probably is pretty tricky, but I'm guessing you've responded to a demand probably from enterprise customers in particular that say, we need our MindManager to operate within Teams.
Yeah, and we always, obviously our product development is led largely by the user community. So yes, this was a big ask for people, but we also felt that it's a good way to take the business. And it's something, that we'll get into probably a little more in this conversation, but what I think that the direction that we're looking at is to get really build out that collaboration story, not to take away from the individual usability and productivity of the product, but to keep that core functionality and really expand in the collaboration, and communication area. So one of the big things, obviously, was MindManager for Microsoft Teams, right? And what we've done is we've put the core functionality natively within Microsoft Teams. So you can add a tab that links to either MindManager files that you can open within that tab, the tab meaning like within a channel. So you can add tabs. or you can connect a single map so that anytime anybody on your team clicks that tab. And this is great because now you have the option of having team dashboards, project charts, org charts, process flows, knowledge repositories, and so on. And it's all, all of these are fully accessible and editable by any team member, within your channel or group within Microsoft Teams. So it's a really powerful and convenient way to build on that. And we know that Microsoft Teams, obviously, for us, it's a great. I think it's a great opportunity because as of April, Microsoft data said they had about 75 million active users, which is up almost 25 or 30 million over the month previous. So these are active users, and since then, obviously, it's much higher now. So yeah, great collaboration tool there, and we're building on that with our MindManager Snap as well. The teaming capabilities that we have. So MindManager Snap is our content capture tool. You can take images, you can take links, you can take other type of content that you want to snap up, and it's really a set it and forget it type situation. So you can send it to yourself using your mobile device or your desktop or your Chrome browser, snap up content, and then you forget about it. And whenever you open MindManager, whether it's 3 hours or 3 days later, the content is sitting there waiting for you. But now with the teaming capabilities, you can snap peer-to-peer, and you can also snap within defined groups of individuals. So very powerful functionality and a great step, I think.
So MindManager Snap, I think, was really interesting. And last year, in your release product launch last year, I did a short video of 3 things I loved with that release. And MindManager Snap was one of them. I thought it was a great way of helping me get over one of my very bad habits, which is emailing myself. Which I know a lot of people do as well. So I really love that feature. So just in terms of all that tool, I guess it's almost a standalone tool, but in terms of the peer-to-peer, just help me understand that and anyone understand that. So if I'm out and about and I see something and I think Craig and my team would really find this useful, am I snapping a photo on my phone and just saying snap and throwing that somewhere? Does it come direct to you? Do I need to be, just in summary terms, how's that going to work without it also becoming really annoying for you if Liam's firing you everything I think you might like? How do you get to turn me off? Maybe that's an important question.
Well, one, you can control who you are connected to.
Right. So you see people using this within a kind of team setting as well. It's really getting into that collaborative function within Teams again.
That's right. Yeah. And when you go into your Snap queue, that it's called, within MindManager, that's where all your snaps show up. And then you can preview those, and then you can drag them into your map, and you can delete them if you don't like them. So those will show up, and you can separate by queues. So you have your personal Snap queue. Let's say, hey, Liam, you and I are connected. You can send me some stuff so I can see just the Snap queue of stuff that you're sending me. Or I'm part of my team at work, then I can view that Snap queue, and you can name each of these queues, and then you can see where stuff is coming from. If you don't like somebody, and they're sending you too much stuff, you can either ignore it because it's in a separate queue anyway, or you can just remove them from.
I think it's a really interesting idea. I'm fascinated to kind of, I've been using Snap myself as my kind of, as you say, the sort of sending it and forgetting about it. And, genuinely sometimes you do forget about it, and then you'll scroll down the queue and go, oh, that was an interesting idea, and it might surface itself later. So I think it's a really, really interesting function. And we talk about mind mapping in terms of capture, categorize, and prioritize. And I think that capturing part has just been accelerated hugely by the Snap tools. I'm fascinated by that sort of evolution as well. So I think if I sort of was just trying to wrap up the product launch, as you and I both said, there's a lot in there, and we couldn't possibly touch on everything in this. But I was interested to just draw people's attention to something that I thought was just a sort of internal concept for you guys within the company, but then I've seen it's kind of being shown as part of your launch materials, was this idea of kind of make it golden. And I think this is a really interesting concept to maybe just share with people, because when it was explained to me, possibly by yourself, possibly by Alex, I can't remember who exactly explained it, was almost, some of it was about giving love to some of those features in MindManager that have maybe been there a long time and done a really good job, but maybe just needed a bit of a sort of re-energizing. So you sent me actually a list of the sort of feature set that was sort of covered by this theme, if you like, of Make It Golden. It was 30 plus changes or improvements or features. So do you have any sense of what the Make It Golden sort of concept, where did that come from, and how did people kind of grab that in the company? What did they take that to mean?
Sure. So I think really what you're talking about here is the fact that we wanted to really bring a modern look, feel, and feature set and the usability within MindManager. We wanted to take that and really modernize it and make it better for people to use, more enjoyable, make them more productive. I mean, obviously, if they're enjoying it and they're able to find things and do things faster, then they're going to be more productive and they're going to enjoy using the tool that much more. So I think that's that was definitely the sort of the thinking behind that, and that was driven, as you said, like largely by what people were saying. So MindManager as a tool has been around for a long time, and with any type of software, things can get dated, right? Maybe in 2012 there was a great way of doing things that's not so great in 2020 anymore. And so what we realized is, okay, yeah, we've got great new features coming out every launch, but what about these features that have sort of fallen by the wayside over the years? Well, the new approach that we're taking is that's really not acceptable. The features that people are using should be really usable. They should be fun to use. It should add to their enjoyability. It should add to their productivity, and they shouldn't have to struggle to click 55 times just to get to where they need to be. And so I think what we wanted to do, and what we're going to do even more in the future, is to clean up the software, to take some of the features and some of the legacy enhancements that legacy features, and enhance those to modernize them. I mean, slides and presentation, we had slides and presentations in previous versions, right? But it wasn't acceptable. It wasn't a very good experience. And so we completely scrapped it and we rebuilt it from the ground up. I mean, that's just one of many, many enhancements that we've made. Other things, simple stuff like horizontal scrolling. You can now hold the shift key and scroll with your mouse wheel to scroll horizontally.
There's a good example, Craig, of what I said earlier, and I've said this a lot with every release from Corel owning the MindManager product, is its attention to detail and tiny little things that just make the regular user's life a little bit easier. And I think the horizontal scrolling thing, it sounds so trivial, but it's a really nice little addition. And that's, you only come up with those things by paying attention. And I think it's a great credit to the organization to be paying attention to these things and then implementing them as well. I think it's really impressive.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the I mean, I know you want to move on to another question, but one of the other things I love, and it's enhancements that people probably won't even notice. For instance, you can zoom now, holding control on the mouse wheel. That was always the case, but now with a selected topic, it will stay within the screen, whereas before it wouldn't, right? So now when you're zooming, the selected topic will stay within the screen.
You can't see on my little map of questions, but that is exactly this thing here that was my other example of a little attention to detail thing that I think makes my life so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so those are the little things that we're taking, and we've identified a number of them. And of course, with every launch and every service pack release and so on that come out, we can only do so many of them. But it's really on our radar now. It's something, excuse me, that we want to focus on moving forward.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting. So I'm interested to talk about the moving forward and the future with the time we've got left. But I'm also interested because you're relatively new to the organization. I think you said you've been in your role sort of 10, 11 months. And I'm always really interested when people join any of the sort of world of mind mapping software and tools. I'm always very interested. But I guess just in terms of a quick insight from yourself, when you joined Corel, did you have any familiarity with MindManager as a product prior to that? And if not, kind of what was your first, in terms of your job role and what you were going to be taking on? When you got your hands on MindManager, what was kind of your sense of starting this new role, maybe a product that wasn't familiar to you? What was sort of the journey that you've been on in that period so far?
Well, I'll start at the beginning. Funny enough, no, I hadn't even heard of MindManager when I first interviewed for the role. But I quickly realized why I wanted to work for the company. It is a fantastic product, and a lot of people will work for a software company and then they spend their days marketing it and so on, but they don't actually use it. I actually use MindManager every day now for managing the team project plans for the whole launch. I used MindManager. I use it as a personal organizer. I use it as a knowledge repository, and so do our other employees. So that said, I mean, it's a tool that the people working at the company actually use. So I think that speaks a lot for it. Interestingly, and I think I mentioned this to you previously, but before my first day of work, I wanted to get up to speed quickly. So I actually came and found a tutorial by you on the
I hope I said something useful.
It was good. It got me using it super fast. I got so familiar with the hotkeys and enter, and how to quickly add topics, and it got me off to a great start. So it's fantastic. But obviously, when I first came on board, and this is I think where we want to take the product is a lot what we just talked about, right? We want to continue to improve it. We want to continue building on our cloud-enabled services that are enabled by our license server or account services platform. So we can get into a number of I think we're really pushing in the direction of going platform agnostic, so to speak. So whether you're using Windows, whether you're using Mac, whether you're even using a Chromebook or so on, we want MindManager to be an anywhere, anytime, sort of any way you want to use it type tool. And so I think that's really our guiding principle right now. So Corel acquired the product in 2016, and it's even before that, MindManager was really firmly established as one of the leading sort of mind mapping tools on the market. And since then, and especially in the last couple of years, and certainly where we're heading in the future, we're trying to move beyond the mind mapping message. We are a great mind mapping tool, but we're actually a comprehensive suite of visualization tools. And that's really where we're trying to take it. So visualization tools that not only enhance personal productivity, personal organization and so on, but within the team and within the corporate environment. So I think that's the direction that we're heading.
And so you've kind of led us into a forward-looking view. So if you like, I'll follow your thread on that, if I may, which is,
sure.
I'm kind of interested. I mean, as I said earlier, I think since acquiring the product, Corel has done a fantastic job in really moving it forward in ways that make a lot of sense, as opposed to some previously slightly hard to fathom maneuvers, if I can put it politely. The direction of travel, as you say, it seems to be for you guys heading towards this. Again, I have an account with MindManager, and I'm going to be able to use it whatever tool I decide to pick up, whether it's my my Mac, my PC, just a browser. This kind of, I think, speaks to, and obviously this is a very interesting time we're in, and when last year Corel launched co-editing, I'm sure they had no clue just how essential that was going to become in the year 2020 with everything that's happened with the virus. If you can, if you like, to a certain extent, detach ourselves from the virus, the COVID era we're in, what did you think, or what do you think are some of the, if I can say, guys, the sort of wider technology or software or business trends that you think are likely to become or likely to influence Corel's decision making and the MindManager product kind of going forward? It seems to me that you're already tapping into some of them, collaboration, subscription based kind of rather than installation. But what are some of the things that you see impacting the world of visual tools, productivity, whatever you'd like to sort of badge yourself?
Yeah, lots of trends going on. Obviously, a lot of companies are adopting Microsoft products more and more. I mean, we've seen a massive uptick in Microsoft 365 worldwide for various companies. I mean, it was already popular before, but even in recent months, within the last year, even more so. Manager, but Microsoft Teams as well is I mean, what was it? Something like 30 million active users last November, and it was up to 75 million last April. It's probably well over 100 million active daily users by now. So we're seeing that. So, obviously Microsoft products, including Microsoft Teams, is going to be huge. But within that, we also see companies adopting a number of tools for their business. So different database type tools like Salesforce or other things like that, right? Jira, these types of things. So I think there's a lot of future potential for that. We don't have anything specific set on our roadmap yet, but what I can say is we see a lot of potential for web-based services. So there could be the potential for MindManager, a web-based client that sort of transcends platforms, right? That's not just tied to Mac or not just tied to Windows. Could be potential for database integration so that companies have, instant access to Salesforce and different things, that sort of thing, right? So I think these are the trends that we're seeing. Certainly things that we're looking at, nothing set so far, but I think we'll start to see some progress and some steps made in those directions.
Yeah, and I guess it's just interesting to kind of get a sense of what's on the radar, even if it's not a yes, we'll be doing this in response to that. It is interesting, I think, to see and to hear from you guys what's kind of getting your attention. And one of the things I think I get asked, if I'm demonstrating software, is can it be used as a sort of a dashboard where I'm pulling on lots of different sources. And again, you're kind of already heading in that direction. So again, the sort of connectedness of web tools in general, software regardless, is accelerating, it seems. So I guess that opens up huge range of possibilities at the time when you guys are moving more and more into that space. And the power that MindManager has always had has been in that kind of handling a lot of information and maybe many more sources of information in the future.
Yeah, and with our license server, our account services now, all of that is firmly set, so that really sets us up for the future. It enables the potential for all of these services in the future. So it's a really big step for us.
Let me just touch on one final thing, Craig, before I let you go, if I can, because you're talking about your account services and sort of licensing structure, which I guess is really speaking to what many of us would probably consider to be the historic sort of MindManager strong user base in large organizations and enterprise. MindManager has got a very sort of strong presence in there. But I'm interested, albeit I know you've only been in the company for sort of around a year or so. Do you have any sense over the years, last few years perhaps, of the customer type changing in MindManager or growing? Are you seeing maybe a greater variation in the types of people and even the types of organization now that are using MindManager for things maybe that you wouldn't have seen if I was to go back and speak to your person in your position maybe 5-10 years ago? They probably would have been squarely in there. We've got to go after these big logo enterprise type companies. Do you see a more diverse range of users now, or is it still, does the product development still speak largely to that larger enterprise type client?
It's quite interesting, actually. Even just at the loyalty event, I had different global government organizations reach out to me after, educational organizations, so universities and different type things. And I think that the direction that we're heading is really starting to speak to a wider range of audiences. And I know I mentioned it before, but that doesn't mean that the individual capabilities of MindManager don't still hold true. In fact, those have been enhanced as well. So with the account services, it really opens the door it really enhances the experience for everybody, for our end users, for our single users. It helps them because it actually simplifies the way that they interact with our entire suite of products. Yeah, they need to create an account and log into the desktop client, but it also opens the door for them to use Microsoft Teams or, for the Snap capabilities, for MindManager Go, and, which is our mobile app that we're going to continue to enhance, and so on. So it creates this ability for them to connect the entire ecosystem of MindManager products across one account. It puts control into the hands of the enterprise customers and the IT admins, because that gives them control over the license deployment, so they can easily manage their users. And then it's important for our partners as well. It generates, recurring revenue for them, opportunities, and then there's potential for future value-added services and so on, where they can, manage accounts for their clients, as a potential future service and so on. So long story short, I guess, so to speak, but yes, we still have the individual users, but we're really seeing a lot of new attention from enterprises due to the new potential services that we have and that we can offer. And then I'm seeing a lot of inquiries from government organizations, from educational organizations and institutions and so on.
Which I guess in summary, you have to take as a growing recognition of the need for tools like this. That's the kind of comfort I would take from that, is a wider range of people taking interest in this suggests the need that we've been talking about for many years for these kind of visual tools is maybe becoming a little bit more common. People are maybe seeing, oh, actually, this does help with this particular use case and these kind of things. So I would certainly, I'd certainly be taking heart from that, both in my position at Biggerplate and probably from yours from a role at Corel.
Right.
Yeah. And so just as a final thought then, Craig, in terms of, we get launch out of the way and you settle into your day-to-day work for the next kind of 6 months forward.
Yeah.
What are we expecting to see from Corel, from MindManager, let's say over the next 12 months? What are you guys going to be doing so that when someone applies to Corel in future, it's not the first time they've heard of MindManager? How do you sort of plan on really taking MindManager out to an even wider audience? What's the big vision for you in your role and for the organization at the minute?
Yeah, it's a great question. So currently, MindManager's largest user base is within Europe. So it's led by Germany and France and the UK. And we're also active globally, especially in the US, Russia, Australia, and so on. However, when I started in January, we didn't have as much activity happening in those other countries. So it was mainly Europe. We now have an active Salesforce sales team within North America, specifically mainly the US, in Japan, in Russia. So we are seeing now, as an organization, we are, really diving into those markets. We're getting our sales teams active there to reach out. And then we're just going to continue awareness campaigns. As you can see, the product itself has been modernized, but so has, I would say, our branding, I think, has been refreshed really nicely. We're active on social media. We're active across, in our advertising and so on across different websites. So we're really trying to get the awareness out there and, build our presence in North America and the other countries aside from mainly Germany and the rest of Europe.
It's a funny one, the geographic spread of interest at different periods and different products. I mean, for us, the US has been one of our, if not our biggest source of visitors to Biggerplate for many years. And yet, there you guys are in Austin, Texas and Ottawa, Canada, and sort of saying we need more in North America. So I think it's a really interesting challenge to try and get right. I'm sorry I haven't got any answers, but obviously we'll keep working together to see what we can do. But very interesting. I feel like I could do a whole call just on the different regions and markets and where they are in their familiarity with mind mapping tools and visualization tools in general, but that'll have to wait for another time, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it is just about generating more awareness, right? I mean, I don't think everybody is really familiar with these types of visualization tools and mind maps and so on. So it is just about continuing to build that awareness. But since January when I started, we've already, hired more people, and we're really starting to make those pushes into the market. So hopefully more and more people start hearing about us.
Yeah, so there's it's going to be a busy period ahead for you and for all those
Yeah.
other Corel team. Well, I think Craig, I've kept you long enough, so I probably need to just say thank you very much for taking the time out. I know you'll be really busy with launch activities and all these things, so I certainly appreciate you taking a bit of time to just come and talk with me and hopefully share a little bit of the I guess the narrative and the background to what people will kind of be seeing from MindManager over the next kind of period. I think fascinating to get a look at the sort of forward view and some of the logic and the thinking that's gone into what's been created. As I say, I thought the virtual launch was fantastic. I think the set of product improvements and additions is fantastic. So I think it's a really exciting time to be a MindManager user and hopefully a really exciting time to be a potential MindManager user as well. Now's a good time to get involved with MindManager, I guess would be the message.
Great.
So, Craig, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Congratulations to yourself and all the team on what looks like a very successful product iteration, as well as, although it still feels wrong to say product because it's now this whole ecosystem, as you said. Congratulations on building a proper ecosystem around MindManager, I guess. And we look forward to kind of seeing what happens over the next period with MindManager and the team. And we wish you all the very best.
Likewise. Yeah. Thanks so much, Liam. Always great to work with you, and we'll look forward to connecting again soon. We really appreciate it.
Likewise. Well, thank you to everyone for watching this video. I hope you've got a really great insight into the development of MindManager as a product and as a product suite, as we've talked about. You can learn more by going to mindmanager.com, speak with the lovely team at Corel. They'll be happy to set up product demos, and you may even find yourself talking to Craig to learn about some more of the product. So if you found this interview useful, I hope you'll subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. And until next time, thanks for joining us.